sexual reproduction. What is sexual reproduction? Usually in the sexual reproduction, the two parental organisms are participated and they are producing the gametes, and fusion of gametes called fertilization takes place, and after the fertilization the zygote has formed. The zygote furtherly develops into embryo, fetus and the young one. This is a very common process occurs in the higher organisms, right? And the organisms which producing the young ones which are resemble to their parental organisms and exactly to that of their parental organisms. This is what usually occurs in the sexual reproduction. And this fertilization process is very not common in all the organisms. And fertilization process of a sexual reproduction is internal and external. Internal fertilization, external fertilization. External fertilization, nothing but the fertilization occurs outside the female body. Fusion of male and female gametes occurs outside the body of the female. And usually, if you take a fish or a frog, in fish and frog, the fertilization takes place outside the female body. When you see that the fish or frog, they are releasing the sperm, the male frog releases the sperm and the female frog releases the ovum into the surrounding medium or nothing but water. When both the male and female organisms are releasing their gametes into the nearby surroundings, automatically the fusion takes place in the outside the body of the female, nothing but a water. So that whenever it occurs outside the body, it is completely uncontrolled. Whenever it is completely uncontrolled, there is a very less chances are there for the production of young ones. So the reason the fish and frog, they are laying number of eggs, thousands of eggs they are laying into the surrounding water. Out of thousands of eggs they are laid, at least the few will be surviving, because the salinity of the water or the temperature of the water and some kind of enemies like fishes and other aquatic organisms, they may eat the majority of the eggs. So that after overcome all these unfavorable conditions, at least few can be developed as young ones. So that the fish and frog are producing more number of eggs because the fertilization takes place outside the body, right? And internal fertilization is quite opposite to that of the external fertilization. Nothing but fusion of male and female occurs inside the female body. Whenever it occurs inside the female body, automatically it's a complete controlled process, because whenever it occurs in the female's body, it's complete the temperature and everything will be controlled, so that in higher organisms like placental mammals, the eggs are producing only a one single ovum is producing, because it is completely controlled process. And now we will discuss that how the fertilization or the reproduction process occurs in the higher organisms like placental mammals, and most probably in the higher organisms the male and female reproductive organs are completely different. And so that now we are discussing the male reproductive system of the placental mammal, the humans. Male reproductive system of the humans itself, right? Here we are seeing the diagram of human male reproductive system, and comprising every system. We know that the basic point is every system is comprised of some organs. In the same way, the reproductive system is also having some organs. Nothing but here we can see that a pair of testes are the parts of reproductive system. A pair of testes. A pair of testes are located are the reproductive organs of the male reproductive system. And here we can observing that here it is a two parts are there. The two tube-like structures. Those tube-like structures are called vas deferens. Vas deferens. And these are the testes. testis, right? And the central, the tube-like structure which can ejaculate the sperm cells is called urethra. Urethra, right? And here we can observing some kind of structures like ejaculatory duct, and that also we will discuss later, right? What happens and what are these parts and what are the functions and where they are located. Here when we see that the testis or the male reproductive organs, we are saying usually the testis are producing the male gametes, sperm cells, producing male gamete sperm cells, right? And how the sperm cells are produced and where the testes are located. Usually testes are not located inside the body, they are present outside the body in a sac-like structure called scrotum, right? They are present outside the body in a sac-like structure called scrotum. Why the testes are located outside the body except remaining all organs are inside the body only? Because testes are producing the male gametes sperm cells. These male gametes are very high sensitive to the temperature, very sensitive to the temperature. Very sensitive to temperature. They can't bear the body temperature. They can't tolerate the body temperature. They cannot survive under the body temperature conditions. So that whenever the testes are present outside the body in a sac-like structure called scrotum, we can observe that the temperature in the scrotum is nearly 2 degrees to 2.5 degrees Celsius is lesser than the body temperature. 2 degrees to 2.5 degrees temperature is lesser than comparatively body temperature, so that the testis can easily produce the sperm cells and the sperm cells can able to survive, right? This is the reason the testis are present outside the body. And here when you observe that the testis are producing the sperm cells. How testis producing sperm cells? Inside the testis, when you observe that inside the testis a highly coiled tube-like structures are present. Those are called seminiferous tubules. Seminiferous tubules. Tubules means the very finest tubes are called tubules. Here inside the testis we can find seminiferous tubules. These seminiferous tubules are producing the male gamete sperm cells, right? And seminiferous tubules, after the production of the male gametes, they can send to the next tube-like structures called vasa efferentia. Vasa efferentia, right? And vasa efferentia is a connecting tube between the seminiferous tubules and the next part, epididymis. Epididymis. Here we can observe that this is the structure of epididymis. Epididymis, right? When the sperm cells are enter the epididymis is the widened tube-like structure at the anterior part of the vas deferens. This epididymis can able to store the sperm cells for temporarily. This is the structure, the widened tube-like structure can store the sperm cells temporarily. This is why the function of the epididymis and the structure of the epididymis is little widened to store the sperm cells for a while. Later, the sperm cells when they enter the epididymis and they can be travel through a long tube-like structures called vas deferens. Vas deferens. And so when the sperm cells travel through the vas deferens and before they are enter the urethra, the long tube which can expel the sperm cells out of the body, there are 5 glands are located or associated with the male reproductive system. And what are the 5 glands? Generally we can call it as a 5 accessory glands. These are called accessory glands. These accessory glands and where they are located and what are the functions of it. And here we can observe that 2 seminal vesicles. 2 seminal vesicles. two seminal vesicles. Here we can find in the diagram itself the green colored structures. A pair of seminal vesicles are present here. The seminal vesicles are producing a fluid called seminal fluid. Seminal fluid. Seminal fluid, right? And this seminal fluid provide the energy for the survival of the sperm cells. This is what we can observe in the two seminal vesicles are producing. The seminal fluids are providing energy for the sperm cells. Later, the another kind of glands are two Cowper glands. Two Cowper glands. The Cowper glands producing the Cowper fluid. Produce